Talking straight taught me about life. That whenever we're going through something tough, it's okay to talk about it, and there are always other great men out there ready to help and support in any way possible. It's truly a great experience, and I highly recommend it to everyone, whether they feel like they are struggling or not. Everyone will get something out of it.
I did Talking Straight. I have now over 200 fathers, and I love all my warrior fathers.
Hi, I'm Ron. I did Group 18 with Dale and Sidey. At Talking Straight, it helped me get through my relationship and subsequent divorce. It helped bring me closer to the kids, to my two boys. It helped deal with my younger brother's suicide and my dad's alcoholism, which was a big help to me. So that's about it.
Hey, it's Heath Budgie Thompson here. I've done Talking Straight. I've achieved, and so can you. Have a great day.
Hi, I'm Neil from Group 19 Talking Straight. Depression, suicide, betrayal, anger. It is what it is. Men supporting men.
Hi, my name's Will. I did Talking Straight a few years ago, and I think it was probably the best decision I made. I think for any guy out there who needs to speak to other men, to surround yourself with the best blokes, and I think Talking Straight is a good place to start.
I'm Shane. I did Talking Straight Group 19 in 2017. Talking Straight gave me mates for life. It gave me just skills how to handle life. It gave me a second chance.
My name's Dalton, and I've had the privilege of doing Talking Straight with Dale and Sidey. It's helped with my battle against the black dog.
I'm Sidey. Talking Straight, my father committed suicide when I was 14, and 45 years I have battled with that, and I'm getting to the end. I'm learning how to deal with it all.
Hello and welcome to ITIM number 16. I'm your host Tim Sarley, and today we're Talking Straight with Dale Wright. Hi Dale.
Hi Tim, how you going?
So today, yes, this Mo is for show, and it is for Movember, and we're raising awareness for men's health, and too many men are suffering in silence around the Golden Valley and around Australia. So that's what Movember is all about, raising awareness for men's health. And what a great opportunity it has come about that I've got a chance to sit down with Dale and talk to him about some of the great work that he's doing for men in the Golden Valley with his Talking Straight program. Now, this program's been running for probably about 23 years or so, going strong.
That's right, yeah.
And but Dale's also been a photographer for over 50 years and ran his own business for the last 43 years. So it's a great opportunity to sit down and talk to him a little bit about business and about the work that he's doing for the men in the community. So thank you, Dale. For those of you who don't know who you are, right? They may not be from around here. I've got followers all over the world.
Oh, really?
But yeah, for those of you who don't know who you are, just give us a little bit about yourself.
Well, that's really hard, but I've been in business since I was 17 years old. I actually had worked for a studio when I started at 17, and then at 23 I went into my own business, starting from home, and over the years progressed to my own studio and photography. I have a passion for it. I love what I'm doing. It's something that I've met so many families over the years and continue to create relationships with lots of people in the Golden Valley. I have lectured around Australia on photography and my work, but as I'm getting to a certain age of retirement, sadly that will come to an end in the next couple of years probably, but I still have got a great relationship with lots and lots and lots of people in the Golden Valley.
People better get in quick.
They better get in. Oh
They want their photography done by even the next couple of years.
A little bit about myself. I'm a musician. I can't read music. I actually played in rock and roll bands for over 20 years when I had long hair and sideboards and so forth like that, and high, the flares and so forth. But it was a gift that's been given to me from that experience. I actually married a Catholic lady, and end up being the church organist there and have been for the past 38 years.
You play a bit of rock and roll on or something?
It's got good beats, because we've got organ, drums, guitars and singers and so forth.
Yeah.
So that has actually been really, really good for me.
Yeah.
However, in my work with the men, it's got nothing to do with a religion. It's to do with their faith journey.
Yep.
That's who I am. One of the highlights is this book of the late Sir Edward Dunlop, who is a great hero. He's a hero of mine. The photo on the front is that I actually took it, and Sir Edward actually has been in this room, and we were really good friends over the years.
Yeah. And you've got some pictures in the Benalla Gallery?
Yes, I have an exhibition of work at the Benalla Art Gallery of the work. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, just wind back to when you were 23, when you started your business. What made you go out on your own at the age of 23 and start your own business at the age of 23?
I think when you're at that age, you can just do it. You just don't think of the consequences.
Were you still living at home with mum and dad?
No, I was married. I had no job. I had to survive.
Yeah.
So it was never thought I couldn't get there. I just believe I can do it.
You just went and did that.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. Yeah. Now tell us about Talking Straight.
Talking Straight is a group I put together. I've been doing for the past 24 years. The reason why I started doing it, because I at the time was in my 40s, felt I was invincible.
Yeah.
But when I turned 43, I realised that I wasn't invincible. And I always tell the men that I fell out of a tree at 43. I think the thing is that I had, it was the worst 6 months of my life, to be honest with you, because I had panic attacks, anxiety, which led into depression. I've never experienced that before because I was invincible.
Yeah.
And what was the amazing thing about it is that when I told my friends that I was in this situation, they avoided me.
Yeah.
And over the years, I have actually asked them, why did you walk away from me? And they said, we just saw you invincible, so we just didn't know how to handle it. Yeah. But from that, I created a men's group, and I have learned a lot from those men. You can't buy a book with the information that we share.
So sorry, just to cut in. On that first, how did you create the first meeting? Who did you get to say? What made you think that you had to get a group of men together to talk?
No, good point. I was at the gym one day, and there was this guy who was actually starting a men's group, and he said to me, "How you going, Dale?" And I said, "Oh, I'm in shit." And he said, "Well, you might as well, would you like to come to a men's group?" I said, "I don't need that bullshit. That's crap."
Yeah.
And he said, "Just come along, just to hear." And I realised that when I did go, I remember going home that night and saying to my wife, I was walking up the passageway to go to bed, I said, "Don't talk to me," because I hadn't dealt with physical mental abuse from brothers, alcoholic father, dominating mother. There's a whole situations in my life that I hadn't dealt with.
Yeah.
And I think that I realised that I had to do something. So I participated in that group for maybe a couple of years, but it fell over because I felt everybody was just in the same. They were in the same shit. They weren't growing.
Yeah.
And I felt there was more with men's work and men's groups than just that. So I went off and did communication courses and a lot of courses and learned a lot about how it could work.
Yeah.
It started off as a 6-week program, then it got to 8 week, then it got 10 weeks, and now it's 13 weeks.
Yeah. I noticed on your format had 12, and then a little 3 had been turned into a 3. So
because we cover compassion, love, respect, sex. There's so much that as men we don't talk about.
Yeah.
But when you're in a safe environment, as we are here in this room, men do open up. Men are afraid of men.
Yeah.
We're afraid to talk to each other.
Why? Do you know
why?
Why?
Yeah. That's something that I have had 200 men go for the groups, and I love them dearly. I respect them. Some are going through divorce, separation, depression. Some young kids I find amazing what they tell me at age 17, where their fears, and by putting the men together, I select them in the sense that I'll take a 17-year-old and a 27-year-old and a 30-year-old and a 40-year-old and a 50-year-old, so they will mentor each other.
Yeah.
So if you put a whole heap of men at the same age together, say 40-year-olds, it just comes a group. But by actually learning from each other, so a 17-year-old, which will hear. Maybe when he turns 30 or 40, think, oh, I can remember, Tim having that situation, and they have the tools, or they can reflect back.
Yeah.
It's amazing to go up the street sometimes and see a 17-year-old sitting with a 50-year-old or a 40-year-old having a tea or coffee, because they connect.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, and I'm guessing that the older guys want to help when they see someone that's 17, a 17-year-old boy that's having troubles.
Yes.
May remind them of some of the things that they were going through earlier on in their life, and they probably want to help as much as they can.
Well, a 17-year-old, usually students, they're finding it, they're worried about what's on Facebook about themselves, and so we actually say, turn the phone off, talk to us. And some of these kids are going, their parents are separated, and I can tell you, 17-year-olds find it really, really difficult. Their parents are separated, maybe when they're 13 or 14-year-olds, and they find it really difficult to cope.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we always say to them, your mum and dad, and that's you can't change it, but they get very, very angry and aggressive.
Right.
So
yes.
we help them through that.
Yeah. Okay. Now you've got some topics here that you've been kind enough to bring through.
Yeah, well, no, that's good. No, I'm glad you asked that question, because when they come to me on the first night, I ask them to write down what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And their handprints are actually put on a tablecloth, and that tablecloth's around the table for the whole 13 weeks.
Yeah.
But you've got a guy like this here, I want to get through life. Now I can tell you that Michael, his wife was having an affair, and he just found it really hard to cope. The most disappointing thing with Michael was that he came around to my place and attempted suicide.
Yeah.
And we got him to the hospital and he got through it. But I remember him being in the psych ward and slapping him that hard across the face for doing that move when he could have talked to us in the first place.
Yeah.
Shane here says, I want to know who I am. Well, he found out after his father died that there was a lot more about his father which he didn't know. There was more families involved and so forth, and he was really, really confused. He was a young bloke.
Yeah.
Shane wrote down here, I need to meet good men. And by the way, there's a question that's always asked me, has always been asked me, mainly by women, what is the matter with the men?
What's the matter with you?
Yeah, what's the matter with them? And I say there's nothing. That have situations in their life that impacts on the living. Same as you have situations in your life that impacts on your living. I still have situations in my life which impacts on my living. Mm-hmm. And so luckily I can, I've got lots of men who we text and talk. We meet at the pub and chat. We have great situations going on with each other. Yeah. Like this guy says, to really take control of my life with lots of smiles and laughter. Trevor wrote, I want to be a stronger person, be in control of my life, not get pushed around, and have good people in my life.
So how through that program, do they achieve this?
Yes.
At the end of the
No. Well, the secret to all this is that, like Danny, I want to establish myself in my life. Whatever. Someone to talk to. That's a young 16-year-old kid. Someone to talk to, for God's sake. Yeah. And he's a school student. That is actually read out by the men every week, but not by the same man.
Right.
Okay. Everybody just picks this up and starts reading it because everybody wants this. Yeah. We're all looking for this situation in our life. Yeah. We're all looking for peace, someone to talk to, happiness, to get through life. Yeah. So after a while, it becomes boring because all they hear for 13 weeks the same thing over and over and over and over again, and we actually laugh at it. So it's really good. It's good fun. They are great guys. Yeah. Today, for instance, and also last Monday, one of we call them warriors. Their father has died. Mm-hmm. We've collectively gone to the funeral. Mm-hmm. Today we're going to a funeral to another warrior's father who's died.
Yeah.
He doesn't know we're going, but I know when he sees us he'll cry because he knows he's got this connection with some great men.
Yeah.
You know, I know when he sees us he would just embrace us.
Yeah. And you have a lot of tears in the room.
Yep. Yeah. And I've cried 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And because everybody's being authentic.
Mm.
And it's okay to cry. It's okay to say I'm hurting.
Yeah.
You know, and some of the things can be really, really trivia to you, but for another man, it's powerful.
Yeah.
It's powerful. This is how I really feel.
Yeah. You take them away on a weekend away?
Yes, the part of the 13 weeks they do with me, and by the way, Kevin Sidebottom helps me facilitate these groups. We go, part of the criteria is they spend 2 days with me up the river.
Yep.
They canoe.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't tell them it's 40 k's,
yep.
but they do. I've actually selected those who will go in the different canoes. So you've got a 17-year-old with a 40-year-old, you've got a 40-year-old with a 70-year-old. So for an hour, they're changing over and mentoring each other. Mm-hmm. And once they get in the boat, they can't get out.
Yes.
So Sidey and I are pretty confronting when we get them in the boat because we tell them what we really, really think.
So give me an example of that. What do you mean by you tell them what you think? So do you I picture you just telling me to harden up or anything. Nothing like that.
No. A good example, you know, you don't like your dad or you don't love your dad. I think you need to talk to him. You know, no, I'm not going to talk to him. Well, let's talk about this. So I will go down that canoe and talk to that young man in the hope that he will see that he needs to communicate with his father instead of bagging him. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other situations with, you know, you need to talk to your ex-wife about this. You know, you can't see your kids. Well, why can't you see your kids? No, why can't you see your kids? What have you done to have your kids turn against you? You know, most men will say never, nothing.
I've done nothing.
I've done nothing.
Well, it's not my fault, it's her fault.
That's right. Yeah. And on the first night here with the men, those who are going for divorce or separation or whatever, I always say this is about kids.
Mm.
I kept thumping to them that this is about kids.
Yeah.
And if you two, and it's about, and we do not bag women.
Yeah.
Women are honoured and respected. I always say you have a situation between the two of you, you've got to fix it.
Yeah.
It's not about she does this and she's done this and we'll pull them back.
Yeah.
This is about individuals behaving badly,
mm-hmm.
and maybe you're behaving badly too.
So it makes them sort of take a little bit of ownership of their behaviour.
Yeah, they do. And if they're in the wrong, we'll tell them.
Yeah.
We will tell them. Well, that's unacceptable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Those who've been aggressive, this is a long time ago. There was one guy who actually did assault his partner.
Yep.
And he owned up and told us. And I said to him, yeah, what you did is horrific,
mm-hmm.
unacceptable, and we will do everything in our power to stop you from ever doing that again.
Yeah.
And guess what? Hearing that from men, he never did it again.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that are said and done in this place here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Down the river, you just mentioned the river. They canoe a fair bit,
yep.
And then we take them into the bush,
mm-hmm.
Into the forest,
yep.
And we do a lot of workshopping. And there's a lot of crying and a lot of challenges which they are faced. And I know that when we come back on the Sunday and canoe again, at the end, there's not a dry eye.
Yeah.
Because they've had to deal with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, right.
A lot of stuff.
That's probably, I'm guessing that's where the help comes from, that they get to talk to people and get a lot of things off their chest.
Well,
start to realise, I guess, some of the issues that they may not have realised they had.
Yeah, there's one guy. He's lost his 3-year-old son through cancer. He's very, very angry. He wouldn't talk about it, and I do remember at the very last moment when we were all together near the river. We're about to walk away, and he said, "There's something I want to say," and he told us about the passing of his son and how he felt at 20 past so-and-so in the morning when he had his son in his arms. And we were crying with him. We were up against the trees. We were just bawling our eyes out, because for me it was very emotional, because this was a man who was so angry and he would not budge. He would not.
So you didn't know that? You didn't know that he lost his son?
Yes, I knew that his son had died, but he was a closed book. But it was only at that very moment when he knew, I've got to say something right now, otherwise,
Before you leave.
yeah, and because the emotion of the weekend, and he was very angry, and he said, "I'm so effing angry.
Yeah.
I'm so angry. What has happened to him? This should not happen." And it was a pretty powerful experience. And there's a lot of that is done. Yeah, and I've also had a guy, Charlie, he's listening. You know, I actually played for his 8-year-old son's funeral, and he was very angry. But going down the river and dealing with it, you know, and talking about him, and having his photo, and let's talk about this. Yeah. And he says, no one talks about this. I've lost my 8-year-old son. No one talks to me about this.
Yeah.
So probably it can be confronting.
Yeah.
Another guy who I actually had to finish off with, his parents were killed in a car accident when he was 5 years old. Here's a guy who's now in his 50s, angry, wouldn't even go to his, you know, in those days, your parents are dead, you go to school tomorrow.
Yep.
So for 45 years, he was so angry, and to the point that I got his wife to give me the photos of his parents. And I remember being down the river and just putting the photographs in front of him, and he put his hand, no, I don't want to deal with this, but we did. And it was the biggest breaking point that he actually went back to his family. He cried, he talked to his sons and told them how he felt and why he was so angry. Yeah. So, and I don't blame him for feeling the way he did. I mean, it was a massive accident.
Yeah, for sure. How do people get involved if someone's feeling like they need to talk to somebody or join, or how do they get in touch with you and get involved in the program?
They call me. Some have been referred to me by psychologists because there's nothing wrong with them. They just need to talk to men.
Yeah.
Some are coming off the street. Some have actually come in with their wives holding their hands, and the wives have actually said, "Take him, otherwise I'm going to leave him," because you know, he doesn't talk. And I say, "Well, maybe you talk too much," and that was a really good point, because the guy who came in on that, when he said to, you know, "What are you doing here?" He says, "To be a better person." And we said to him, there's nothing wrong with you. Just because your wife says you're not a good person, doesn't mean you are a good person. And he learned a lot from that too.
Yeah.
The program is free.
Yeah.
The cost to those who do the program is their word, because their word is the most powerful thing to me.
Yeah.
You know, their word. They've got to do those 13 weeks.
And keep coming along. Yeah. Can't just do 6 weeks of it.
No, because there's every week, we don't tell the men what's going to happen to them every week.
Yeah.
They are here confronted with situations.
Yeah. Right, great. Now, just I'm just mindful of time. We can sit and probably talk for the whole day about this, but did you have something that you'd like to ask the men who may be still watching the video, or a message for them?
Yes. If you need help, talk to a friend. If the friend's not listening to you, go to the next person. But seek help, no matter what happens. It's just not worth it. And by the way, I've actually seen a suicide of a young kid, and that has really affected me. I ran kilometres for 3 weeks because of what I saw. The brother did the group, but the young kid who gave up his life at 17 didn't. And I always regret that I never saw that coming. Yeah. So, and that kid did not talk to anybody, and to this very day, I regret that I didn't get hold of him.
Yeah.
But yes, don't be afraid to own up, you know, that you do need help.
Yeah. And just on that, what happens if you see a friend struggling? What should you do? Should you just leave them alone, or you know, how can, if I see that you're struggling, what can I do to help? Because as you just said before, that when you were going through it when you were 43, your friends just disowned you a little bit.
Yep.
If I recognise that my friend is going through what you may have been, what should I be doing?
Don't be afraid to ask. Yeah. They say, what's going on? They most likely will say nothing.
Yeah, because you're a big strong guy that you.
Yeah, I'm a strong guy.
The Energizer Bunny.
Yeah, that's right. I'm the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
And that's my friends tell me that.
Yeah.
But don't ever give up on anybody.
So I ask you, and you say, "No, I'm fine."
I'll say bullshit.
Yeah.
Sit down and tell me what's going on. It might take a while, but
because often the people around you will notice something before you do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they will then, if not, just sit with them. You know, I've got friends who I've got keys to the house, and I'll just go in the house and grab a drink and sit down and say what's going on.
Yeah.
But
is it okay to go to the pub and have a beer, or is that?
No, actually, there's a story about that.
Yeah.
There was a young guy whose wife had left him. He told his mates, stupid mates, and said, "My wife has left me." And the other guys said, "I wish my wife would leave me too." And he walks out and commits suicide.
Yeah.
You know, that was a stupid statement made by those guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, in my case, I get text messages from the men saying, "I'm at the pub at 5:30. Let's have a drink." And most likely these guys have sent messages out to everybody else.
Yep.
And you walk in and there's about 4 or 5, maybe 10 guys there.
Yeah.
In saying that, I've actually sent a text message out to different groups.
Yeah.
Said I'm at the pub at 5:30. Let's have a quick drink, and I'm at the bar. And at 5:30, I've seen 15 men walk in and give each other a hug.
Yeah.
And I say to the barman, they don't know each other.
Yeah.
This is the first time they met, but because of the journey that they've gone on in the 13 weeks, they know what they went through. So, because we're hunters and gatherers, and that's where it goes back. We are hunters and gatherers, and we used to do things. The father would be ploughing the fields, the son would be with the father.
Yeah.
The grandfather would be there. When the young kid would go into the house, maybe the great grandfather would be at the door.
Yeah.
That's all gone. It's only 100 years ago. So the mentoring is gone.
Yeah.
We need to mentor men.
Good message. Yeah. Thank you, Dale. It's been great talking with you. This is the second time I've had the opportunity to sit down and talk straight with you.
I hope it sounds all right anyway.
Yeah, but, so I say this especially men in footy clubs. If you're on a footy team and you notice that a friend of yours has all of a sudden started to change their behaviour a little bit, it's gone to be quiet. Seek out to them. Do what Dale said. Just go and sit with them. Try and get whatever they've got on their mind out of them, and don't leave them. I guess depending on the situation, of course. But do your best to try and help your friend when you see them in need. I know it is hard. We're all busy and so on.
Yeah.
But yeah, do your best to reach out to your friend. Don't disown them just because they're going through a bit of a hard time. Try and make a bit more of an effort to send them a text message just to say g'day, thinking of you. Just something like that sometimes can also just get someone through the next day and so on. So do what you can to help out when you can, and stay tuned for next week. We've got another gentleman that we're talking to, hopefully, that's also doing another a bit of work with the community to raise awareness for men's health. So it's been great. Thanks again, Dale. And,
no worries, thank you.
See you all next week.